There is a version of you that has been anxious for as long as you can remember. Not anxious about one thing. Not anxious about a test or a presentation or something that actually went wrong. Just anxious. Like a low hum that never fully stops. Like something is always slightly off, even when everything around you looks completely fine. You've probably been told this is just how you are. Maybe you were handed a label. Anxiety disorder. Generalized anxiety. High-strung. A worrier. Maybe you were told to breathe more. Think less. Calm down. Just relax. And you tried. You really did. But here's what no one told you. What you've been calling anxiety might not be anxiety at all. It might be something much more specific and much more understandable. It might be a nervous system that learned, a very long time ago, that the world was not a safe place to be, and then never received a clear signal that things had changed. That distinction changes everything. Let's start with what anxiety actually is, not the way it gets described in a pamphlet, but the way it lives in your body. Your nervous system has one core job: not thinking, not feeling, not connecting. Its job, the job it was designed for before language even existed, is to keep you alive. And to do that job, it is constantly scanning. Every room you walk into, every tone of voice, every moment of silence that goes on a second too long. It is asking, on a loop, one question: is this safe? When the answer is yes, your nervous system settles. Your breathing slows. Your chest softens. You can think clearly, connect with people, rest. This is called being inside your window of tolerance, the zone where your body feels regulated, where life doesn't feel like a threat to manage. When the answer is no, or even when the answer is unclear, your nervous system activates. It floods your body with cortisol and adrenaline. It tightens your chest, sharpens your focus, speeds your heart. It is not malfunctioning. It is doing exactly what it was built to do. The problem is not the system. The problem is what happens when the system never gets to turn off. When you grow up in an environment where the answer to "is this safe?" was frequently no or unpredictable, your nervous system learns something. It learns that safety is temporary, that it cannot trust the quiet, that it needs to stay ready. And nervous systems are fast learners. They encode these lessons not in your thoughts, but in your body, in your baseline. That baseline becomes what you call anxiety. Not a chemical imbalance, not a personality flaw, not something you invented or exaggerated. A learned setting. One your nervous system adopted to protect you, at a time when protection was genuinely needed. So how does a nervous system learn that the world is unsafe? It doesn't need catastrophe. It doesn't need a single terrible event. In fact, the environments that most reliably dysregulate a developing nervous system are not the dramatic ones. They are the quiet, chronic ones. A home where conflict could erupt without warning. Where the mood of one person determined the emotional weather for everyone else. Where love felt conditional, present when you performed well, withdrawn when you didn't. A childhood where you never quite knew what version of a parent you were coming home to. Where you learned to read the sound of footsteps, the weight of a sigh, the particular silence that meant trouble was coming. A school environment where you were humiliated, excluded, or made to feel fundamentally different in a way you couldn't name but couldn't escape. Or sometimes, nothing that dramatic at all. Sometimes it's simply the absence of consistent safety. Parents who were physically present but emotionally unavailable. A household that functioned, that didn't have visible problems, but where no one ever sat with you in your feelings. where you learned that your inner world was something to manage quietly and alone. Your nervous system noticed all of it, and it responded the only way it knew how. It stayed on. It kept scanning. It decided from the accumulated data of your earliest years that vigilance was the only reliable form of safety. The child you were made a very smart decision. The adult you are is still living inside it. Here are 6 signs that what you experience might not be clinical anxiety, but a nervous system that never got to feel safe. Number 1. You scan every room you enter before you've said a word to anyone. It happens automatically. You walk in, and something in you is already assessing who's in a bad mood, where the exits are, what the energy feels like, what the right level of visible is. Not too much, not invisible. You're not being paranoid. You're running a threat assessment that your nervous system developed before you were old enough to choose it. Number 2. Calm feels more uncomfortable than tension. This one confuses people. You've wanted to relax your whole life, but when things actually get quiet, when life actually settles down for a moment, something in you goes uneasy. You start waiting for the other shoe to drop. You manufacture problems to worry about because your nervous system doesn't know what to do with stillness. Stillness, historically, was not safe. Stillness was the pause before something happened. Number 3. You are hyper-aware of other people's emotional states, often more aware than they are. You notice the slight shift in someone's tone, the too fast answer, the smile that doesn't quite reach the eyes. You've been told you're too sensitive, that you read too much into things. But you're not imagining it. You developed an extraordinarily accurate radar for other people's internal states because reading people was, at some point, a necessary survival skill. When the emotional weather of the adults around you determined whether you were safe, learning to read that weather in advance was not sensitivity, it was strategy. Number 4. You struggle to believe that good things will last. When something good happens, a relationship feels secure, a period of life feels stable, someone is consistently kind, you can't fully let it in. There's a part of you always preparing for it to end, always scanning for the flaw, the catch, the moment the floor drops out. This is not pessimism. This is a nervous system that learned not to trust the good times because the good times always ended. Sometimes without warning, sometimes without reason. Number 5. Your body carries tension you cannot explain or locate. Jaw tight, shoulders up, stomach braced. A weight in your chest that isn't grief exactly, but isn't nothing either. You might have learned to tune it out, to live inside a body that feels like it's always slightly clenched. But that tension is not random. It is your nervous system holding a posture it adopted long ago. A posture that said, stay ready. Number 6. Rest doesn't feel restful. You sleep, but wake up tired. You take a day off, but feel vaguely guilty the whole time, like you should be doing something. Even when nothing is wrong, you can't fully arrive in the present moment. Because part of you is always scanning the near future for what might need to be handled. True rest requires safety. And if your nervous system has never fully learned that you're safe, it will not let you rest. Not completely. Not without effort. Here is the question that probably just formed in your mind. If this is a learned pattern, if my nervous system learned to feel unsafe, doesn't that mean it can learn to feel safe again? Yes, it does mean that. But it also means understanding why it doesn't happen automatically. Because your nervous system is not waiting for your thoughts to catch up. It doesn't respond to logic. You can know, intellectually, that you are safe. You can make a list of all the reasons your life is fine. You can tell yourself there is nothing to worry about, and still feel anxious. Because the part of your nervous system that runs threat detection is older than rational thought. It doesn't read the list. It reads the body. It reads patterns. It reads familiarity. And what is familiar, even if it was painful, often feels safer than something new. Because familiar is a known quantity. Your nervous system would rather operate inside a known threat than an unknown calm. This is why changing your thoughts alone rarely changes the feeling. This is why insight helps but doesn't resolve it. This is why you can do the work and still feel the hum. The nervous system changes through experience, through the body, through repetition, through safety that is felt, not just understood. So what does nervous system safety actually look like, practically, in a life like yours? It starts with something small: predictability. Your nervous system dysregulated partly because it couldn't predict what was coming. The antidote is not constant positivity. It's consistency. A routine your body can count on. Moments in the day your system learns to recognize as safe. Not exciting, not perfect, just reliably there. A morning that goes the same way. An evening that has a shape to it. Anchors the nervous system can hold on to. Second, learning to orient, not brace. When you notice the tension arriving, the scanning, the tightening, the waiting, the instinct is to brace against it, to think your way out, to push it down. What regulates the nervous system faster is orientation. Slow, deliberate sensory contact with the present moment. What do you actually see right now? What do you physically feel? Where is your weight? What sounds are present? Not because it's spiritual practice, because it gives your threat detection system actual current data, rather than the old pattern it keeps defaulting to. Third, safe relationships experienced slowly. The nervous system learns safety most powerfully through relationship, through the experience of being seen without consequence, of conflict that doesn't end in rupture, of someone showing up after they said they would. This kind of relational safety cannot be rushed, and it cannot be faked, but it is the most durable form of recalibration available to you. Every moment you let someone be consistently safe, you are giving your nervous system new data. And finally, patience with the pace. Your nervous system spent years, maybe decades, encoding its current baseline. It will not reset in a week. It will not reset because you understand it now. The shift is real, but it is slow, and it is non-linear, and there will be days it seems like nothing has changed. Those days are not evidence that you're broken. They are evidence that you're working on something that takes time. Here is what I want you to hold on to. The hum you've been living with, the vigilance, the scanning, the inability to fully land in the present, it was never a flaw. It was a system doing its job. A system you built, or that was built for you, during a time when staying alert was the most reasonable thing you could do. You were not weak for developing it. You were not broken for keeping it. You were a person responding intelligently to an environment that required it. The only thing that has changed is that you no longer need to live there. Your nervous system doesn't know that yet, but you can teach it. Not through willpower, not through thinking differently, through letting yourself experience, slowly, repeatedly, in whatever ways are available to you, that it is safe to be here now. That is not a small thing. It is, in many ways, the whole thing. If this video named something you've been carrying without words for it, share it with someone who might need to hear it too. And if you want to keep understanding yourself at this level, subscribe, because this is exactly the kind of conversation we have here every week.